I'm trying to tell these girls I ain't the one.
What's going on, everybody? This
I'm the
is
one
the
they call
Holly
to
Fair
get it
Podcast.
done.
This is episode
So now she go
number
and try to throw some love
8.
in it.
Episode number 8,
I
guys.
gotta
Holly
go and leave
Fair
her where she
Podcast.
from, I'm trying to tell these
Man,
guys I ain't the one. See,
short
I'm
week,
the
of
one
course,
they
is on
call to
Tuesday.
get it done. And if you wanna
So
go
let's
and
talk
touch
about
some
it.
love
Let's
with
talk
it,
about it.
I show you how it happens where I'm from.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Holly Flavor Podcast. This is episode number 8. I am your host, Eddie Royal. And let's just get right into the business. We have. Let's get this out the way first. I don't know if too many people are aware or care about it, but they just pretty much passed a bill on the Music Modernization Act, and it pretty much is, in short, the MMA. It's pretty much updating the laws on how people are paid out royalties for their streaming, especially songwriters, um, and producers and things like that. So it's the biggest attempt at music copyright overhaul in eons and decades. And it's very, very good for the music business. Again, especially for writers, especially for people who, since buying physical copies of music is pretty much a dinosaur now, and it's outdated. Songwriters have lost their 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 financial gain has plummeted. It has really, really dropped because people aren't really buying into the areas where they actually got paid from performance royalties and things of that nature. So just a quick rundown on everything. First of all, this act kicks in start of the year, January 1st, 2021. It's giving the streaming services and the music business as a whole time to pretty much get their paperwork in order, go back and check out everything that's going on, what they missed, make sure everyone backdated gets their right amount of credit, make sure their names are on the things that they need to be on, all of the licensing and things like that is in place. So the MMA is going to be implemented January 1st, 2021 for the Music Modernization Act. That's the big thing. Now, just going back into the history of it real quick to see why it was so important. The the old music law was established in 1909. 1909. That's how long it's been since this law for music and songwriters and copywriting and things that have really been looked into. The beginning of it was 1909. That's a long time to not have an update, especially when music and the selling of music has changed drastically so many times since 1909. That's huge. That's major. Um, and then performance royalties, actually being able to get paid for when a big act goes on stage, or just an act in general goes on stage, and you were part of that song. Performance royalties are important because you still help them with that song, and they're going out and they're making millions on the road. And normally, songwriters currently they get paid, but how much they getting paid, things like that, and that hasn't been updated since 1941. So another big move. We're talking about something that's that old. 1909, 1941, and then royalties for songs recorded, actual recording of songs. So before 1972, when you made a song, you put it out, you just got paid, I guess, by the label or whatever, just for putting that song out, and then that was it. It was done, from my understanding. Now, in 1972, now is where is you're getting royalties over the lifetime or however long you sign your contract for that music that you created. You're now getting paid for the duration, as that song is being out, especially now in the streaming era. That's important because, again, you didn't get money from that hard copy. Um, so everything is streaming. Everything is going to be a royalty based entity now, pretty much moving forward. Because back then it's like, okay, they brought the album, fine. If my song stops playing on the radio, at some point I still got all of my money from the sales, and you were kind of comfortable in that mode. But now, since that's dying out and music will pretty much live on forever on these platforms, you would like to get paid for your stuff forever. So that makes a lot of sense. So 1909, a lot of these laws were established. 1941, performance royalties were established. And now in 1972, songs recorded, you got royalties from that. All of that is now being updated, signed off in the new bill here in 2018. It's going to be implemented January 1st, 2021. That's huge. For some people, this sounds like gibberish and it doesn't even matter to you at all that this new act has taken place and that that music is being pretty much the laws are being applied for music in the modern era. Some of you don't really care. You're just consumers. But for people like me, who is a songwriter, who also has music, who performs music and things like that, these things are major moving forward, just to know where you stand and that you won't lose rights to some of your things in the long term. Um, that's pretty much it on that. Like summing that up, briefly. I didn't want to go too far, and then I also figured that a lot of people wouldn't be versed on it yet because it's fairly new. Within the last week, I believe the bill was signed, so I didn't think it was too many talking points. Let's talk about a couple things we can breeze over, if not too long. A conversation, then we'll get into some more good things if we have the chance or opportunity. So we all know Mac Miller recently passed away from an apparent drug overdose. His family went through and they allegedly, cleaned up the place and things like that. So when the police come to pick up the body and they're looking for certain things and all these, and they don't find anything, they just find his body. They take his body and they go, okay, fine. So they go through that. Rest in peace to Mac Miller. During that time, after his death, a lot of people were attacking Ariana Grande, who was his ex-girlfriend, who was engaged to Pete Davidson at the time. And she took it really hard. She took his death really hard. And when it happened, I called them not lasting. I was like, yeah, they're not going to make it through this. Them two are going to break up. Because her and Mac Miller's relationship was kind of recent, and they were engaged kind of early for society standards. In their current relationship, they got engaged a little early. So now it all come around full circle, and they end up breaking up. And yes, the reasoning behind it was the death of Mac Miller and how hard Ariana Grande took it. And I guess it was just something they couldn't live with through together. I mean, as a man, like, how would you feel? How would you feel if the woman you were with, her ex passed away, and she seemingly took it like the person she was with passed away? I think that's probably something that he was dealing with and going through. And not saying that you shouldn't care that someone that you were in love with at the time passed. It's just, how did you think he took the? Well, you know how he took, because they're not together. But how would you take it? How would you look into it if your spouse was like, dang man, my ex passed away, and it's not like your ex who's like the father or mother of your child. It's just like somebody I was with for a duration of time that I was in love with. They passed, and then you're taking it so hard, like you were still with them yesterday. Like, how do you take that? How's it going? How's it going? On my IG, how are you guys going? How would you how would you take it? Like, do you think that their relationship warranted a breakup? I know some people don't even care about their relationship, but I'm just trying to speak on the dynamics of something like that. Someone passed, they're an ex, and now you're like, it hit me so hard, I don't know what to do. And now you're questioning your own personal relationship that you're in, someone you're engaged with, and we're looking forward to a bright future with, with marriage and potentially kids and things of that nature. With someone else, when someone passes away, all of that goes out the window seemingly now. I don't think that I don't think that me personally, I don't think that I would be able to. I could go through something like that because I think like when you're out of a relationship and in a new one, I don't think the ex relationship, even if the person passed away, and again, not someone who is the would be the mother of one of my children or anything like that, but just next, that it would affect my current relationship so much that I would not be able to continue a relationship with them. Um, Even though I called it and I knew them two wouldn't last through this because I just felt that way. I don't see I don't see why it should affect them in the sense that they can't be together. I mean, I feel like one, there should be some sort of understanding. Your relationship with Ariana, speaking on Pete, the relationship with Ariana it was fairly new. Um, and then Mac Miller's and Ariana's relationship was so public, and they seemed so much in love. We know all these things, and they broke up while he was still alive. So they didn't work, and so I feel like unless she called it off, and was like, I just can't do this. I'm way too in love with Mac Miller and what he represented, whatever the case may be, and me just won't work. I feel so bad, blah blah blah. If it was him saying like, hey, listen, man, I don't really appreciate you being so in love with this guy who you were recently in love with before you fell in love with me, seemingly, and we're gonna have to call it quits. I'm like, honestly, I feel like that's the time where you should have been like, what do you need from me? How can I help you get through this time? Because it is hard, I'm guessing, just to deal with someone who passed away, who you were so in love with, and now, and they pass with on something like that, like they pass with, an OD, an apparent OD, and things of that nature. I feel like that's a time where Pete could have been like buckled down on his love for her. That's how I feel. I feel like, help her. Like I don't want to see Ariana Grande fall into a state of depression either. I mean, I don't think she would like turn to drugs or anything like that, but you never know. You never know with anybody, how they're gonna cope and deal with their own pains, and that's big, especially in today's era where mental health is so brushed over until something bad happens, and then we're always looking and asking what they're going through, blah blah blah. No one knows their story, and we always deal with that stuff after someone's passed, after they pass, or after they in the hospital for an OD, and we find 1,000 excuses on why we should be more considerate of not saying anything bad about people, and stuff like that. So, but it is what it is. Ariana Grande, Pete Davidson broke up. All the attention came from the Mac Miller death incident, and um, I don't know. I think they could have. I think it could have been something they could have worked out. But it is what it is. It's not my relationship. It's not my relationship. It's theirs. People deal with things in their own time and in their own way. But I think, again, if Pete Davidson was the one who called it off, I think that he should have been the one to be more lending a helping and understanding hand of the situation. But neither here nor there. It is what it is. Um, let's move forward. So Danielle Bergoli, i.e., aka Bad Baby, Atlantic female rapper, signed, aka Cash Me Outside Girl. She signed a deal with Snapchat. She signed a deal with Snapchat for a reality show or reality series. Now, I don't know how much money. I don't think that information has been released yet, anything like that. But for me, that's kind of cool. I like that. That's good news. I feel like, one, I feel like Atlantic is doing a great job in trying to find their artists opportunities to succeed. And if it wasn't Atlantic, her management team is doing a good job of keeping her in the spotlight, because they did did the whole thing with her buying her way onto the cover of Billboard, and now she's going to be pretty much plastered across Snapchat, continuously building her fan base, because she's been being placed in front of masses of people over and over again, and I like it. Now, I had a conversation on my fellow podcast, Empower We Trust. Shout out to my guys. And I'm gonna say a couple weeks ago, we talked about it, and I was saying how, Atlantic has Bad Baby. They also have Cardi, and now we were speaking on the music wise briefly, and I said, well, if you switch the songs between the two, they both would perform. The songs would be almost the same, identical, so to speak, as far as the sound and how people take it. Now, the trajectory of the songs probably won't be better, just because of the audience is different as far as who they both cater to. But I was saying to say they both could literally have almost the same exact songs in their catalog, and it'll be okay. They both make the same type of hits, because Atlantic is putting together this hit factory. They got the writers and the producer, and they all work together, and they make hits, and they pump it out, and they give it to the artist and say, hey, this is your song, perform this. So with her getting this deal with Snapchat for a reality series, I think it's cool. It's similar to like how LeVar Ball went out and got his deal done with Facebook, and they had a reality series on Facebook following his family. I like stuff like that. It's innovative, it's new, it's different. The same way his basketball league was being streamed on Facebook, and a lot of people laughed at me when I was talking about it and saying like, these things, like, this is where media is going. TV is becoming, the internet. You know, we got people out here watching. They got the fire sticks, and they got YouTube streaming and they watching and stuff like that. A lot of people are buying out of cable and into more of the things that they're on all day. So imagine if all of your favorite TV shows came on Facebook. Imagine if all of your favorite TV shows were on Instagram. You wouldn't have to put down the items that you love so much. You can focus and you can watch it right there. And a lot of people would, especially if it's cost effective. Um, so for her to be on Snapchat to get a deal again, I don't know the money, but I think that's a good move. It's a power play, and I like it. The business of it. Would I watch? Probably not. Would I see a couple clips and things like that come across? Probably. And if it's interesting enough from the clips, then I might have to watch. But mainly because I'm podcasting, and I do want to stay in the know. But it's some things that I'm just going to miss, either on purpose because I don't really care too much for the person, or just because it's not my type of content, and I'll just get the news or the sound bites as they come across, and then I'll dig into the history of what actually went on if I want to be well informed before I speak about it. But shout out to Bad Baby, man, out here doing deals with Snapchat. That is major. I think it'll also probably help their platform a little bit. It's pretty much like an icebreaker, and if hers seemingly does well and the numbers are good because they have the analytics, they have the numbers, I'm pretty sure they'll be reaching out to other people to do Snapchat reality deals. And I'm pretty sure Facebook is going to continue to do the same. They did it with the Ball family, and they probably got tons of other things that I don't know about on Facebook because I probably just not a fan or I don't follow the person that they're doing business with. They probably got other people with these types of deals. But it is what it is. I'm happy for it, man. Since we're still on the lines of uh white rapper, so to speak, let's talk about Lil Xan. Now, recently he was in a mall. I don't know the exact mall and all the things. Those details are minor in my opinion. But he was arguing with some guy or somebody, and he went on, "You were broke, you were broke, you're broke," and all this other stuff, and stuff that people who got money say to people who don't have money. The biggest issue was not only his demeanor and the way that he was acting, but that they say that he used the N word. So it called somebody a nigga. I didn't hear that part. I refuse to watch things sometimes. Like, I didn't hear that part. I watched some of it. I saw him snapping. All of the things that I see, I just see him snapping and saying you're broke. I never even got too far to see him calling somebody a nigga. But then a lot of things came out saying like he's like part Mexican and all this other bullshit. And well, not bullshit. It brings me to the question of appropriation of the use of the N word. Now, I look at it as who, and I say this before, especially being black, is like, and I like what Remy said on State of the Culture too. It really doesn't offend me when people use the N word of any race, color, or creed. It doesn't offend me. Reason being, it depends on how you're using it. It depends on if are you using it as a racial slur or to degrade my character as a race or to degrade a race, or are you just saying like, yo, these my niggas over here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it, for me, that it matters. The context in which you use it does matter. Just saying it doesn't matter to me. If you're saying it in a term how I use it in my everyday life. Do I know that it's socially inappropriate for someone of, mainly it's only some, either if you're white or if you're Asian, pretty much you can't say nigga. That's how it's really looked at and viewed. That's the thing. But if you're Hispanic, any form of minority, it's cool. It's like a minority thing, and we're as black people, we always say, nah, it's us taking this word and we're using it to empower ourselves. And I don't get it. I don't get why. I mean, like, I understand the disrespectful tone behind it. And like, if somebody, like, if a person of another race, especially mainly white or Asian, because this is how I was raised, and it's pretty much part of my upbringing. Someone of those ethnicities come to me and they say that word to my face, especially in a disrespectful tone, something's gonna have to happen. That's pretty much just how it is. So they come up to me and be like, "Man, this nigga," or especially if you throw the er on the end, then you know you're using it as pretty much you're trying to, like, your disrespect. It's a racial slur now. But if it's on some like these my niggas over here, Now it's frowned upon, and everyone's taking it back, and they're looking at like, should we punch them in the face or should we accept them? And because you hear people saying stuff about, especially like the N word, just stuff in general, and they say, why can't we have something to ourselves? And I look at that and I say, is that the thing we want to fight for? Like, do we want to fight for the N word? Like, do we want to be like, why? The one thing we want to have to ourselves is that, and it's not like it didn't come from us. So having it to ourselves sounds retarded because it didn't come from us. The word didn't derive from us. We just try to take it and use it as empowerment, and now we still use it for dumb shit. We didn't take it and flip it to empowerment and then go into all these other crazy things and make it like a good term. It's still a bad term in a sense. It's a profane word. We didn't turn it into like an actual word of good use. We didn't turn it into Negro. Like, we can say Negro and we cool with that, but then a white person can't even say Negro. You see what I'm saying? So it's a situation where I don't think we should keep, like, that's not something I'm like, that's not something I want to fight for to keep to myself. That's something I want to fight for to either eliminate as like eliminate it, period, or just say fuck it, let's go find some other shit that we can have and it belongs to us. Because we go around and we use it in our music and we use it in like our context, we use it in our daily language, and we sit here and yes, everything is like, oh, what is it, social appropriation and all this other shit. People trying to get in on the culture and all that. Yeah, but if you want to be seen, or if you want your thing to be mass produced and all these types of things, who else do you think is going to say it, or who else do you think is going to see it? We're the minority. So you want to have something, you want it to grow. Let's just keep it on the lines of just music. Say nigga in our music all the time. All the time. I'm pretty sure we know that a whole bunch of people of non-black descent are in their homes saying the N-word as they sing to their favorite songs from their favorite rappers, especially since hip-hop is the most consumed music across the globe. And then we turn around and say, okay, it's cool. It's cool if you do it in the privacy of your own home, but as soon as you bring it out in public, I should punch you in your face. Don't say that. That word's not for you, especially if we're white people and we look at it like they made the fucking word. And I'm not going to bat for them saying they should be able to run around saying it. What I'm saying is just the logical thinking behind how we attack that phrase. We're looking at it and we're like, we don't own that word. That's not something we own. We're trying to take ownership from it. We're trying to use it as empowerment. And let's take it. Let's take it a step further. Let's sidestep that and throw Kanye into the mix. He's taking the MAGA hat, and he said himself, "I'm taking it and I'm trying to flip the meaning of what it. I'm trying to make it more empowering to the people. Period." And we're looking at him like, "You a damn fool," right? But it's the same exact thing that we're doing with the N-word that we've been doing longer before a fucking MAGA hat. We're taking this word that has been used to degrade our people, black people, minority, whatever, and trying to use it as a term of empowerment now. But now we're snapping on Kanye West for doing the same thing with a hat, a fucking hat, something that you can literally take and throw in the trash. But language is here forever. Language will always be here. That word is in the dictionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, that word is part of history. I don't know if the MAGA hat is going to be a huge part of history. Not as big as the word nigga. But we pick and choose our battles, I guess. We pick and choose our battles, right? We pick and choose what we could do as a society. Especially in the hip-hop culture. We pick and choose what we could say, how we can say it, who's cool enough to say it, and all that. Like, it's like, we got to figure it out. You got to figure out if it's going to be, can we all say it, or can none of us say it? Either we throw the shit in the trash, or we find a way to make it appropriate for everybody to use. Because I'm not fighting for the use of the N-word. I'm not fighting for that. I'm not fighting for that. I'm talking, and I mean, as far as I'm not fighting for it as a society saying only black people should be allowed to use it, and some of my Spanish homies, we cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Either we all use it or we don't use it, so we can get past it. Let's get past it. Now, if you're using it if a Spanish person uses it to disrespect me, we're fighting. And I don't even want a black person coming to me and saying you nigger with an ER. Cause now you feel like one is so you feel like you're gonna revert back and say, oh, that's one, it's self hate, you got some issues going on, and then two, now you're still trying to degrade my race, even though me and you are the same as far as our race goes. You know what I'm saying? So that still could be a fight. You give them a little pass because they're black too, but that doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right that a black person could call me nigger with an ER in a disrespectful, racial slurred term, and then like a Spanish person's, or a white person or an Asian, and you go, it just puts you in a weird place mentally. And some people don't even think about it. Some people they just have their rules down on paper, so to speak. They have their rules listed on who can say it. Not how it can be said, not where it can be said, not any context around it, why it was said, not if they just repeated a line that somebody else said because they were singing a song. All of those things. None of that stuff is taken into account sometimes because we're so big on trying to be like this one-sided social activist or something where you're looking into it and saying you can't use the N-word. You can't use it, but I can use it. I can use something that, one, I didn't create. We all know the history of the N-word. So why do we act like we literally made it for us? We took it, we tried to turn it into a term of empowerment, and now we still use it as a way, on one side of the coin, we use it as a way to degrade our own people ourselves. And on the other hand, we use it for entertainment. We use it as a term of endearment. So we're in the middle. We're going straight down this line of, like I say, yo, these my niggas over here, and that's a good thing. Or you'll be like, man, them fucking niggas over there, man. Now it's a bad thing. Same fucking word. So we gotta figure it out. Keep it or remove it. If it stays, we gotta figure out how everyone can use it so we can stop fighting over dumb shit and making it a whole issue. No, I don't think Lil Xan should have said it. No, I don't think him acting the way he was acting, he should have been even in that situation. You got security guards. I don't care. I hate when rich people argue with people who don't have as much money to them, and the first thing they say is, I'm rich. So fucking what? Guess what's the same? Your blood. I can still punch you in the mouth. I'll punch you in your mouth. Rich that. You know what I'm saying? Go take some of that money and replace these teeth. Cool. But that comes down to another situation. If you need to have better people around you when you're in that situation, when you have money like that, you need better friends, better security, better people repping you at your label. I don't know. You just need better around you, just so you can get through those types of situations without acting dumb. But let's get off the N word. Forget it. It is what it is. We'll figure it out one day, right? Right. I don't know. We'll never figure that shit out. That's my not while I'm alive. Um, do we care about Amber Rose dating Tyga's best friend? No, I don't either. I just wanted to throw it out there, a little soundbite, quick news. Let's move on. Kanye met with Trump. We all know Kanye met with Trump. I watched the interview or the lunch. It was a lunch. I watched the lunch a few times just because first I watched for the demeanor of Kanye West. Then I went back and I watched again just to hear more about what he was actually saying. And then I listened to it a third time today just for a little more clarity on some things as far as everything that I mentioned before. He sat down and he did have a few good points. Talking about like prison reform, talking about the educational system, a lot of stuff about Chicago. So let's separate the two. He had good points on one side. The side of him that I didn't like, of course, is him, brand awareness. He's always trying to self promote, talking about Yeezy, talking about factories and stuff like that, bringing jobs to America, bringing more jobs here and keeping jobs from going overseas as far as like the factories and the shipping and making them clothes like that. Great. All of those things are great if he was doing it unselfishly. If it wasn't something he was only talking about mainly so he can do something with Yeezy and Adidas or whatever other brand he's trying to build himself up in. But he did talk about like prison reform. He did speak on like the educational system and how they're so fast to classify children with like ADHD and things like that. And he's like, "Nah, school is boring," and I agree. Now, me, I was great in school. I loved school, but it was boring too as well. I just wanted to do it so I can be done with it, and that's a touching topic because that is how we look at a lot of youth today. We look at them and we be like, "Hey, the child don't want to sit still in class and things like that." Now, like my 8-year-old son, the teachers tell me he had ADHD all the time. They also come to me and say he's really smart. He shouldn't be in this class. This has been going on since he's been in school, and I know he's smart. And the thing about it is, at home, I see the moments in where people would say he has ADHD because it's always at the peak of when he's bored. It's always at a point where he could sit down, he could play the game for hours on end. He's entertained. He's focused on that. He can sit down and watch a show that he likes, but when the commercial comes on, he's up and bouncing around because the commercials don't interest him. He's not really a consumer of things. Now, honestly, around Christmas time, of course, that's when now you're watching all the commercials because you want this new toy, you want this new game, you want this, that, you want that. So now he's tuned in, and I can see him sitting still. He's on his phone. He's reading something. He sits still. So you turn and you look at him like, is it ADHD or is it interest? And I always lean to the lines of interest. Now, I have seen some kids with extreme cases of ADHD where it doesn't matter, they just can't sit still, period. I've seen that as well. So it is by a case by case thing. But a lot of the educational institutions, a lot of the teachers are fast to say, hey, your child has ADHD. I think you should look into this type of medication so they can sit still and focus in class. And I'm not a big fan of that. I don't want my kids walking around like zombies. I think that teachers should be better educated on how to deal with active children in class. Maybe changing your curriculum, maybe, or just building up your tolerance. I don't know. I don't know. Of course, I don't know all the answers to that. I know how I raise my son, and I know how I personally have managed his seemingly ADHD for 8 years now, going on 9. Actually, his birthday is in 2 days. So, but I've managed it, and I'm like, it's not hard, and it's really not hard for his case, for his situation. It's not hard. So I'm looking like if it's not hard for me, and it's simple. It's not like I'm punching him in his head every time I want him to sit down. No, I just redirect him to something else, or I talk to him and I say, hey, what's up? Relax, sit down. This is what we're doing right now. And boom, goes with the flow. It's not hard. Um, but it's crazy. But yeah, he talked about that. And then, he goes on, he's talking about he feels like Larry Hoover should be free and let's bring, everything else to bring new factories to the states to, build our clothes, talk about tax breaks and things like that. Cool. Then he gets up and he goes to Africa, hands out dozens of Yeezys to some African kids, and I believe he was in Uganda, if I'm not wrong. Hands out dozens of Yeezys. I don't like when they say dozens because I don't know how many dozen. I like when they say like hundreds or thousands. I like stuff like that. Doesn't sound like less than 100, and I'm pretty sure it's more than 100 kids who need over there in Africa, and you can get more of those cheap made type of sneakers and have Adidas be like, here's 2,000 kicks. Go and give them out. It's tax write offs. It's not that deep. But I do respect the actual good cause. So it is what it is. He's over in Africa. He's working on his album. So he said, and that's it, man. I don't have too much else to say about Kanye. I don't want to go too far. So let's talk about Fab. So back in, I want to say like April, May, or whatever like that, Fabulous, was in a domestic violence situation with his now fiance Emily B, and the dad was involved. There's a video of him threatening him. He had scissors in his hand. All of those things. Emily B goes. She filed for charge, or she went to the police station or whatever. Got her report initially. She dropped the case. They get engaged. I believe they got engaged afterwards. They get engaged. They do all these things, and now they're back together. They're chilling. They're coasting through life, talking about marriage. They have 2 kids together. All these things, and then the state goes boop and picks up this case, and they want to continue on with it. First off, they were saying like they got witnesses and stuff like that, and everyone was like, "Oh, maybe it's the dad," because the dad, him and the dad were the one beefing in the video. The dad is actually willing to testify on Fabulous' behalf, so it's not the dad. They mended that relationship. The report from that was that they ended up like the next day they were on the phone. They pieced things up. They talked about it, and they've had a great relationship since then. So it's not the dad. It's just the now. I believe like they can't they can't make Emily testify, I don't think, but they can make the dad testify, I believe. I'm not sure how that works when they, if they get married and things. I'm not sure how that actually works, but that's what I believe. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me. But also if they could find a way, if it happened, she can't lie. She filed. She's the reason that he's there at this point. So the bigger question, the reason not, this is important to me because I wanted to talk about it. When you have a situation like that, you have a domestic violence situation, and the girl she goes down to the police station, or she calls the cops or whatever, and the cops show up. You file your police report. Boom. The relationship, in my opinion, should be over. At that point, there should be no more relationship. Me and you are no longer together. Let's keep it pushing. That's it. I don't care how much I love you, how many kids I have, and things like that. Just for situations like this. Because now, my freedom is now in jeopardy. Because at that time, you can say, well, maybe she was afraid for her life, or maybe she was afraid for her dad, and blah, blah, blah. I get it. So what? But if you have any intentions of going back, thinking like I'm a go back, don't call the cops, because they have the power to come and scoop up this person who you say you love now, and everything is behind you, and send him to jail now because you did something like that. Now the news was like he knocked out her teeth and all that other stuff. I never really saw any information on that. I never really got any follow up that he really did those things. And she dropped the case. I think her case was more on safety because he had scissors and shit like that. I don't know. If she would have came on and said, yeah, he really beat me up. He beat me bad, but I just love him and I took him back. That's another story. Still not right, but it's another story. But now we're in a situation where they're coasting through life seemingly happy, and the state picks up this case and say, "Nah, we're going to still pursue it." And the crazy thing about it is, normally when the state does stuff like this, they don't lose often. And I don't know what the outcome could be. Like, I don't know how much jail time he's facing, or probation, or whatever. I don't know what he's facing. I just find it kind of messed up because she put him into that position now and then went back. I don't think, like, don't go back. What do you guys think? Like, what do you guys excuse me, what do you guys think when things like that happen? Just in general. Not even having to contact police or anything like that. Just in general. Female, or even a male, like you're in this domestic violence situation where your spouse is physically attacking you, and you leave and you go stay with your mom for a couple days, or your aunt, your brother, whatever, and you go back. See, I look at calling the cops similar to like when you're growing up or even when you're adults and you got like a sister or a cousin or aunt or whatever, they got an abusive spouse, and something happens the first time, and call up all the males in their family. Such and such put his hands on me. Y'all go over there, kick Buddy's ass. He leaves the house. That's it. You feel like that's it. And then you blink, and he at the next fucking barbecue or something, and they're together, and you're like, yo, all right, cool. Maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe he's going to change it around. Sometimes you give that person that one chance. Like, all right. And then he does it again. You go over and you kick his ass again, and you turn and you say, yo, you let him back in again. Next time he fucks you up, I'm not coming. I'm not running to your beck and call because you keep allowing him back. I am not your lesson. I'm not the person who's going to be handing out lessons all the time. You're going to have to figure this shit out on your own. The scary thing about that is, if it happens again, that could be the last time it happens. He can kill you. Or you can kill him in self-defense. Who knows? But what's up with the situation where women keep going back to their physically abusive spouse, and the only reasons they always say is, oh, because I love them, or oh, because of the kids, things like that. I don't get it. Obviously, I've never been a woman. Obviously, I've never been abused in a situation to where as though I'm like, I don't know what to do and my life is messed up, and I keep taking somebody back and they're physically kicking my ass. So I need understanding from, and maybe I need to seek out people and just to talk to someone to find out like the reasoning behind why. Because of course it's easier for someone not in the situation to be like, just leave. Don't have to deal with it ever again. Fuck, buddy, forget it. I don't see the reason to going back, especially when if you called your family over to kick Buddy's ass and give him moved out of your space, or help you move out of his space, or you called the cops with the idea of getting him arrested and charging him with something that you alleged that he did, and then you accept them back. You drop the charges and you want to live this happy life, and then the state picks it up, and now you feel bad, or do you feel bad? I'm assuming that you feel bad because you dropped it and you wanted to continue on with your life, and now we're here. What do you do? How do you justify that moving forward with the person because you're still together? How do you justify that? Like, what do you say besides "I'm sorry, I went to the cops that day uh to file domestic charges against you," especially if the allegations were false or exaggerated, because that's important. Because you could have been like physically attacking him or trying to attack him, and he like pushed you and you fell and hit your head or something because he was trying to defend himself from you getting punched, and then it's like, oh my god, I can't believe you hit me. That happens too. And I'm not saying that there are men who don't abuse, because there are, and they're disgusting. But there are women who do it too, because they know that we're looked at different in the eyes of the society, and we're looked at different in the eyes of the police, especially when you're black. In today's modern era of policing. But that's pretty much it, man. I just want to know what you guys' thoughts. What do you think about everything that we talked about today? What are your thoughts about the Music Modernization Act? What are your thoughts about women returning to their spouse after domestic violence? What are your thoughts on even Snapchat setting up a run for reality type TV shows, or reality type shows? I can't say TV show because it's on Snapchat, but reality shows on their platform. Um, what do you think about? Even, you can even tell me what you think about Kanye. Most people say they're done with Kanye and they're off him, but then when the album drops, most of us are going to be here for it to listen. Even if you want to listen just to be like, I hate it, it's stupid. You can't judge anything unless you've been through it. So you can't judge music unless you listen to it. So you're going to have to listen. You're going to have to listen before you say it's trash. And that's going to help his overall purpose. So, I think that was pretty much it for this episode, guys. Not a lot going on this week. From the last time I checked, man, I just want you guys to continue to have a great week. Continue to progress forward. Anything you guys would like me to talk about moving forward or for next week, I have an entire week in between this episode and the next. Just drop me a message. You can drop me a DM on Instagram or message me on Facebook. You can comment on the videos. It'll be on SoundCloud and YouTube, so you can comment on the audio or you can comment on the video if you have any suggestions and things like that. If you're an independent artist, turn of the new year, I will start reviewing independent artists' projects. It will have to be on a major streaming platform. I will not accept projects submitted through SoundCloud or mixtape, whatever, anything. They're albums or EPs only. I'm not doing single songs. I'm doing EPs and albums. I will literally listen to it when you put it out, as long as it's out prior to, you know, prior to whatever episode, and I'll try to get it. I'll try to talk about it close to your release date around that time, just to get more people to look at it. But that's going to be important moving forward. So turning the at the turn of the new year, 2019, I will be accepting all independent artists' music, preferably hip hop and R&B. Just because that's the genres that I listen to on a normal basis, and that's the crowd that I pretty much talk to when I do my podcast. That's pretty much it, guys. You can send me the links to your music. You can send it to highly flavored. Is it highly flavored podcast? Highly flavored 215 at gmail.com. Highly flavored 215 at gmail.com. Or you can just send it to my music link, Eddie Royal Music at gmail.com. Simple stuff, man. Send your music. I would love to hear your music. I listen to everything. Just know that the critiques will be real. They will be highly unbiased, and I will be judging everything from lyrical content to production to quality of the track to quantity of the tracks on the project. So I'm really going to dig in to the music as much as I possibly can to give you a thorough critique. So if it's bad, don't be mad at me. If it's good, big ups, thumbs up. And that's pretty much it, guys. Highly flavored podcast, episode number 8. Again, I'm your host, Eddie Royal, and I am out of here. See ya.